Hello friends, I'm Gio, and welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about men falling in love with other men. My hobby is writing gay fiction. If you like that kind of stuff, sit back and enjoy. I'm looking for interesting settings for future stories. If you have some ideas, tell me about them in the comments below. Let's get started with this week's story. October 30th, the day before Halloween, and the new mayor of Dead Man's Butte wanted to make a new tradition, the Autumn Festival. Welcome to Nevada. The Butte is about an hour north of Vegas, about an hour north of anywhere. Why would anyone want to come here? It's about as boring as any place on earth. I grew up here. My name's Shea, and I went to Montgomery Memorial High School. I'm not quite 6 feet tall. I'm not quite blonde. And my eyes are not quite blue. I'm not quite employed either. I work at the Halloween store that closes down next week. And I'm not quite single. My boyfriend dumped me, then undumped me, then left with some guy for Vegas without saying a word. And I'm not quite going to college. Money ran out, and I had too many bills during the summer. Dental work isn't cheap, especially when your job has crappy employee insurance. I still have my own place, a tiny 2-bedroom next to All-Star Fitness, which my boyfriend was supposed to share with me. I guess that's over. Where was I, besides being depressed? I picked up another crate of Halloween decorations from the back of my boss's car and took it to Railroad Junction Park. It's just off downtown, and the big celebration is there. 24 booths, live music, tons of food, and a safe place for kids to celebrate the holiday. It's also a way for the Butte to make a little money. Life sucks right now. We brought all kinds of decorations from the Halloween store, from animatronic nightmare clowns to spooky strobe lights, and got everything ready. It's 7 by the time we're done. I wandered the booths, buying a cream-filled, chocolate-dipped fritter to snack on. That's one of the things the Butte is known for. Fritters. We make all kinds. Cream-stuffed, apple, glazed, maple, chocolate-dipped, almost anything. Some people live for this holiday. All I can think about is how my boyfriend left me. There are all kinds of booths. Win a free goldfish, ring toss, basketball shoot, guess some number and win a prize, throw a dart at balloons, hot dog stands, donut stands. Home Fire Pizza had a booth and was selling slices. Even Arnold's Pub and Grill was here selling beer. Anything and everything was sold here. And everywhere I looked, it's nothing but couples and families with kids running around and friends goofing off. I hate being alone. Towards the end of the row, they had several booths set up by various organizations. Open Palm Karate is doing a demo. The Animal Shelter had a display with various dogs and cats trying to find homes. Limelight Candy Express had a display with all kinds of chocolates. Intermixed with those are some odd booths. The first booth was a Kiss a Cheerleader for $10. The cheerleaders have come up from the university and were trying to make some money, and the line was long. Men and boys lined up with their $10 bills. That's not my style. The next booth was Kiss a Football Player. You've got to be kidding. The line was enormous, and it's filled with teenage girls and a few older women seeking to get a thrill. A guy was in line, holding a little dog and giving makeup advice. He waved at one of the football players and said, "Girls, you leave that guy alone. Manuel, I don't know how they talked you into this. Maybe it's because you're the captain, but I've emptied my bank account and brought a mess of tens, and I promise you that you and me are going to have so much fun even my Duchess would blush. Halloween is her favorite holiday. Well, next to Christmas. She loves her presents." There were some good-looking guys there, and I was tempted to get in line. Too bad the line was so long. I walked to the next booth and couldn't believe what I was reading. $10 to kiss a zombie? Another sign said, "Turn back while you can. They eat brains." Another sign said, "Don't do it. You won't survive." A sign lower to the ground said, "All proceeds go to the University Theater Department, so be generous. If you survive the first time, come back for seconds. We need the money." "Step on up, ladies and gentlemen," yelled the woman out front. She was dressed in a bright red long-tailed jacket that buttoned tight around her waist, and a black bow tie. She wore a tall black hat with a red band around the brim, had her hair hanging long and loose, and she held a whip. She also wore classic high-heeled boots and fishnet stockings. She looked like the classic carnival barker. With every word, she gestured with both arms. "Are you brave enough to kiss one of the walking dead, and fast enough to get away before the monster infects you, or eats your brain?" She turned to the booth and snapped the whip. Crack! This booth wasn't for the faint of heart. The booth was painted a dingy gray, like an old haunted house, and lit with odd flashing strobes and flashing black lights. Broken bits of furniture littered the floor, ragged curtains hung in front of a window, and pools of something that looked like dried blood stained the floor. It didn't have music, but screams. A fog twisted and twirled through the booth, partially hiding the undead creature. The strobing lights made the zombie's movements seem jerky and sudden. That poor guy, he didn't look remotely alive. Barefoot, his old gray hoodie nearly fell off him because it was nothing but rags. Same with the pants, with pock-marked and peeling skin the color of concrete and exposed rotting muscle tissue. The zombie was covered in dirt and blood, and several wounds leaked blood or clear fluid. "He's real, ladies and gentlemen," the lady yelled. The police found him wandering in the deepest and darkest sewers of Vegas and gave him to the medical department for study. We borrowed him, and now he's here. Witness, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, an impossibility of nature. The zombie screamed and hissed, and its left eye was red. An axe stuck in his head, revealing brains, and the vicious head wound visibly oozed blood and brains. I stopped at the edge of the booth and couldn't help but watch. The zombie didn't have a nose and was missing his right ear. He also didn't have a cheek, and it showed his rotten teeth. "Cool," some boy yelled. The zombie's hair had odd worms crawling in it and was matted with dried blood. Half of his lip was missing, and it displayed even more rotten teeth. A once-in-a-lifetime thrill. You know you want to do what few people have ever done, and fewer still have survived. Tempt your fate and kiss a monster from hell, she yelled. Step right up. The hoodie was so shredded, his ribs were visible. Literally, they stuck out of his gray-skinned body, sharp and slimy. "Isn't anyone brave enough to dare?" the lady said. "Step right up and live dangerously. Just remember, no refunds. Any medical bills are on you, and we are not responsible for any damage or injury, including but not limited to infection and becoming a zombie yourself." "Is it real?" some guy asked. The zombie lunged forward 3 feet, stopped by heavy chains strapped to his arms and legs. "For $10 you can get close enough to find out, if you're brave enough," the lady yelled. "Keeping a zombie is not cheap. We accept donations, for those of you who don't want to get close." Something swung from his right eye. It was his right eye, hanging from a thick vein, and the eye socket leaked blood. He growled and screamed. He pulled one of the worms from his hair and ate it. "He's hungry tonight. Let's mellow the beast out." The woman reached into a cool next to her and threw something at the zombie. Zombies like flesh of any kind, but they prefer brains, especially human brains. For those of you with faint stomachs, turn away. This is a sight good people should never see. The bloody brain landed on the floor behind the undead monster, and the zombie whirled around and dove into it and ate it. Bits of brain splattered everywhere and dripped out of his mouth. "That's disgusting," some woman yelled and turned away. "It looks so real," the kid said. "That's because it is real. I've fed him so he'll be calmer for a few minutes," the lady said. $10 for the thrill of your life. It's a one-time only experience. You have to pay first, and there's no refunds. I want my money in case you don't survive." "Do it," a teenage boy said to a girl standing next to him. I guess it was his date. "I'll pay." The teen paid the woman, and the girl slowly walked forward. "I don't know about this. It's too scary." The lights strobed. Thunder roared through the booth. The zombie screamed an inhuman-sounding wail. The zombie lunged again and screamed. He reached for the girl, but she was out of range, and he rattled his chains, straining against them to get free. The girl screamed and jumped back. She ran back to her boyfriend and yelled, "I'm not going in there." "No refunds," the lady said. The crowd had grown. Helping the theater department out was a good cause, and $10 for a fun way to kiss a guy sounded great to me. Who knew what the guy looked like under whatever they had done to him? Maybe it was a real zombie. It sure was disgusting enough. I didn't care, but I can't believe I'm doing this. I must be in the weirdest mood, because I walked up to the announcer and pulled out a 20. "Can a guy try?" "Man or woman, the zombie doesn't care whose brain he eats," she said. "Sign me up and keep the change," I said, nodding and hiding my smile. "A man that likes to live on the edge," she said, taking my money. "Remember, no refunds, and we don't cover any injuries. If you turn into a bloodthirsty, brain-eating monster, well, you've been warned." "I'll take my chances," I said, and walked up to the booth. "Step back, ladies and gentlemen," the lady yelled. "If this gets bloody, you don't want any on you." I stepped into the booth, watching every move of the hissing, snarling creature. It lunged at its chains, trying to pull free. A little tiny delicious fear began to fill me. Why did I think this was fun? The zombie had some leftover brains dribbling out of his mouth. I took a deep breath and crept towards him. He lunged at me again and startled me. I stepped back, almost falling. His right eye swung back and forth. I yelped and took another step back. He reached for me again, straining against the chains. I sidestepped. I can't believe I'm doing this. He jumped, screamed, and suddenly I darted in and kissed him. I didn't quite make the mouth, but came in a little too low and got a mouthful of the brains on his chin. Delicious. The brains tasted like honey-flavored frosting. He shifted a little, and his lips matched mine. We kissed. His kiss tasted of raspberry jam. "Watch the fake lip, it's barely hanging on," he whispered. We kissed, and I was careful of his lip. "Wow, you taste good," I whispered. It wasn't a deep kiss, or an intimate one, or one with a tongue, but it was the most fun kiss I think I ever had. "Keep your voice down or you'll spoil the effect. You have brains on your chin," he whispered, grinning, and growled and screamed. "Run away screaming and act scared." I ran back as if I was scared for my life. "You're one of the few, the brave, who has encountered a zombie and lived," the lady yelled. "You could still turn into one. You could have been infected. If you have unearthly desires to eat brains, stay away from those you love." I stayed and watched a few minutes, then wandered around. I wiped the brains from my chin and tasted them. Honey and frosting. Those brains tasted pretty good. Poor guy. How many hours of makeup did he have to go through for this? I grinned, unable to stop. One great kiss, and I had no idea what he looked like. I walked to all the booths, sampling everything, trying some of the games. It would have been nice if I still had a boyfriend to share the fun with. So I wandered alone, chatted with a few people for an hour or so. About closing time, I found myself walking in the direction of the zombie booth. I had the money. I had fun the first time. Why not pay for another kiss? I wandered back to the zombie booth. The guy must have had some serious caffeine because he still screamed and groaned and lunged at the chains and scared anybody who got close. The night had worn on the poor zombie. His body wasn't as gray anymore, and the dangling eye wasn't there anymore, and he had a lot more brains on his chin and clothes. "Are there any more people brave enough to kiss the demonic?" the lady said. She didn't wave her arms as much, and her voice seemed to sag a little. $10, and if you survive, it's the kiss of a lifetime. I pulled out a 20 and handed it to her. "Weren't you the first person tonight to kiss the zombie?" she said. "I want brains," I roared, and staggered into the booth. She hid a smile and yelled, "Oh no, he's infected. Don't attack us. I have one more brain left." The zombie growled and hissed and raised his arms. The brain landed in the middle of the booth. I growled at the zombie. The zombie screamed at me. We roared at each other. This was the most fun I had in days, and I screamed, "My brain." The other guy yelled, "Mine." I dove for it. He slipped his hands free from the chains and dove for it. "Run for your lives," yelled the lady. "They're fighting over the brain. They're free." I grabbed for the brain. The zombie grabbed as well. "Mine," I said, and tried to keep a scary face. The zombie dove at me and tackled me. I screamed. He screamed. The next thing I knew, we were wrestling. I didn't even know the guy, and I was on top. Then he was on top. Then we were rolling. We rolled again until I was on top, and I leaned down and kissed him. His lip piece fell off. He kissed back, tasting of honey and frosting and raspberry jam. We rolled apart, laughing. "I bet you're sick of brains," I said. "I didn't eat as much as you think I did," he said. He gave me a hand and helped me up. I grabbed the fresh brain, tore it in half, and gave half to him. It was a cake with some kind of twirly frosting, covered in a thick, gooey paste made of honey and jam, and looked like a bloody brain. "I hope you don't mind, but I like kissing zombies," I said, and tore off a piece of the brain cake and ate it. "Good thing this zombie likes getting kissed," he said, chuckling. "Did you know you were the only guy that kissed me, and only one of 5 people that dared kiss me? Most guys sent their girlfriends and laughed when I scared them away." "Did you make much money?" I asked. The zombie glanced at the lady. "About 500, I think," she said. Up close, the zombie guy's eyes drooped and he was slowing down. "You two look exhausted," I said, and pulled out my last 20. "One for the road?" The zombie smiled. "A repeat customer. We're back tomorrow if you want to stop by." We kissed. Maybe it was because he was tired, or maybe it was because I was the last person and we didn't have an audience. Our kiss lasted a minute, and though there was no tongue, it was a lot of lip action. It was the weirdest, funnest, craziest kiss I had ever had. "Just a sec," he said, and wiped my cheek with the sleeve of his ragged hoodie. "I got makeup on your cheek, and brains, and part of my lip." I had to laugh. This was fun. "I'm Shea. Do you mind if I stop by tomorrow for a repeat performance?" "I'm Jonas. I'll save a brain for you," he said. He took a piece of the brain he held, tore off a piece, and fed it to me. "Yummy brains," I said. "It's a date." I'd spent $60 to kiss a guy covered in gray body paint, extensive makeup, lots of bleeding gooey stuff, and plastic add-ons. I had no idea what he looked like, but right now, I didn't care. It was the most fun I had since my boyfriend had left. On the way home, I stopped by the ATM and withdrew some cash. I was ready for Halloween night. Halloween day was very busy at the Halloween store, but we closed down at 6 and headed for the park to help them set up for tonight. Crowded. It easily doubled the number of people that were here last night. People waited in long lines at every booth, but there was only one booth that I cared about. I pushed through the men in front of the cheerleader kissing booth, then the swarms of girls in front of the football player kissing booth, and finally through the throng in front of the zombie booth. Something was wrong. It was nothing but teenage boys and college men in front of the booth. The zombie screamed and rattled his chains. It was a high-pitched scream, and she yelled, "Fresh brains!" Something was not right. I pushed between a couple of guys and looked inside the booth. Same strobing lights, same gray walls, same mess of broken furniture on the floor. What was different? The zombie was female. "Get in line if you're brave," the guy said. He wore a striped coat with tails, a black top hat with a red band around the brim, black tuxedo pants, a crazy red polka dot bow tie, and his face was red with a rash. I didn't recognize him. "Step right up. For only $10 you can have a one-time thrill. You can tell all your friends you kissed a zombie," he yelled. "Let me settle her down." He reached into the cooler and tossed a brain at the zombie. She screamed and yelled. As the brain hit the floor, she dove into it, eating it without even using her hands. "That's so disgusting. When will it be my turn?" a guy said. Bits of brain covered her face and leaked out of her mouth. Where was Jonas? I started walking up to the guy dressed in the odd coat and bow tie. "Hey, no cutting in line. We've been here for 10 minutes, some guy yelled. If I'm going to find out what happened to Jonas, I'd have to wait in line like everybody else. The zombie screamed and rattled her chains and threw a major tantrum. Some guy tried to get close and she lunged at him. Her jaw seemed to stretch extra wide, and she had extra teeth in her mouth. The teeth were black and yellow. Something crawled in her hair and slithered across her shoulders. She had a snake? 2 snakes? A teen entered, trying to get close. "Brains," she hissed and snarled and tried to grab him. He jumped back, laughing. Whoever she was good. Nobody got close to her, and a lot of people tried. About 15 minutes passed before I was at the head of the line. "Step right up and challenge death. Nobody has been brave enough to kiss the zombie tonight. Maybe you'll be the first to tame the undead," the guy yelled. "Fine, sir. Would you care to tempt fate?" Then he saw me and gave me the biggest grin. Something about the chin and the eyes made me smile. I held up my 20. "I'm not here to kiss the zombie." "Hi, Jonas. You're not a zombie tonight?" "I had an allergic reaction to the makeup," he said, and looked away for a moment. His smile faltered, and he took a breath. "That's why we had to switch places. I hope you don't mind?" "That means I can kiss you without having to worry about your makeup. There's a place not too far from here that's open late. Do you want to get something to eat when you're done here?" "Sure, as long as we don't order brains," he said. Our kiss was easily worth $20. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Happy Halloween. Peace.